Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Definitely appreciate the support. I'm going to try to record this again. This will be a video where we start to dive into, I guess you can say a library for lack of better words. What I mean by that is, if you have a question about how a particular quarters defense plays a particular formation, I would like to have a video to where you can always reference. So for example, if you want to know how Palms plays Trey or how Palms plays, 2x2 sets, okay, then you would have a video that you can go to take a look at it, right? And we're talking about Madden here, right? So out of all the quarters defenses, you have quarters, you have palms, you have cover 6, and you have cover 9. There's also cover 6 invert. I should have threw that in here, but maybe from now on I'll have those 5 coverages against a particular formation, and I'll have the rules that Madden has coded against all of the different formations. Obviously that's a lot of work, but maybe I'll get to it. But we'll start with Trey, the 3x0 set here. Okay, so we're going to start with quarters really quickly. And with quarters, I mean, once you learn where the bubble is here, it makes it easier for you to know who's responsible for what and what they're supposed to do, as long as you just know what this is all about. 1-2, 2-1, quarter flat, match 2 out. Okay, once you learn those responsibilities, learning quarters is just so much easier to understand. It doesn't matter what formation you play against. Okay, obviously there's variance to that when you play against stack, bunch, things of that nature, but I think this is the core concept you need to learn when it comes to quarters. So the corner is reading 1 to 2. Oh, obviously also, if you don't know, this is the numbering system with football. You draw a line right down the center and you count from outside in. So 1, 2, 3 receiving threats, and on this side we have 1 and 2. All right, so quarters is always based upon this numbering system. Now the corner is reading 1 to 2. If 1 is vertical, then he takes a man-to-man. That ends the process, right? So if he goes vertical, then I'm going to man that route man-to-man. In a situation where 1 doesn't go vertical, what if he goes inside? Well, then now I'm looking at 2. And if 2 is vertical, like a corner route, then he can look to bracket that route. What do I mean by bracket? Well, that's because the safety is involved with that, okay? Safety is reading 2 to 1. If 2 is vertical, then he mans him man-to-man, right? And that ends the process here. However, in a situation where 2 runs something underneath, well, then he's not concerned with 2 at that point, and now he's getting his eyes on 1, and he plays, I believe they call it a rob post dig curl, where if he runs like a post, a dig, or like a curl, he's looking to rob those routes inside, helping out the number 1 who would be playing man-to-man on those routes, right? So that's what I mean by bracket, because if 2 was running like a corner, like a smash concept here, it would be a bracket here, right? Because obviously he'd be manning up the 2 on a vertical route. Your match 2 out player, he's going to match 2 out, okay? So if 2 runs an out like this to the flat, an out pattern, obviously anything that's not declared a vertical route, right? Obviously you can have, I don't know where Madden officially has it. I wonder if it's above linebacker depth. So any route above that depth is declared vertical, or if it's 10 yards, it might be 10 yards, right? So if you were to run something like this, well then that's not a vertical route, so now I'm getting my eyes on 1, right? I believe it's 10 yards, but if this guy were to run, so this is definitely declared underneath, then he's going to match 2 out, okay? Now the thing is, if he runs out and like turns it up, theoretically he's supposed to buy this route, right? Once he goes out at all, he's yours no matter what, okay? And the reason why that is because if I'm reading 2 to 1 and 2 goes underneath, well then he's just out of the process. Now I'm looking at 1. So we can't have it to where, oh, never mind, I'm going vertical, so now I have to take the vertical, right? But in Madden, they have it coded that way. So, maybe I shouldn't have went over that because I don't want to go over where Madden has it wrong, but we'll just leave it at that. Just know that if he does run out and up, I believe the safety takes him. He just bugs out and plays the curl, and now your corner is left out to dry on a post pattern. So, I hate to say it, I think you could draw up a post wheel if you wanted to, knowing a guy's playing quarters match and know that you have one-on-one with the post. Maybe I shouldn't have, whatever, okay? So, I mean, just knowing the rules of a coverage, you can know where to attack it. Maybe I should have put this in here. Mike Martz had an interview, and they were asking him questions about offense. Like, yeah, how are you so good with the scheme and the architecture of the greatest show on turf, whatever. And he goes, look, man, I studied defensive tape for 5 years. And it took me 5 years before I can get really into understanding what the defense is all about. And once you understand the rules, you know where you can bend the rules and attack where they are weak, right? So knowing where Madden has this bugged out, right, you would know, hey, I could draw up a route combination like this and be just one-on-one with the post with all this space. Okay, so that's why when you run into guys who, I'll leave it at that. Let's just move on. So then we have the 3 rec. He's going to relate to the number 3. And here's the thing. This is why we know where the bubble is. Vertical, vertical, right? What would happen? Match that, match that. Oh, also quarter flat. He wants to reroute the number 2 if he goes vertical. And that's to help out your safety so he's not running one-on-one up the field with a free release on the safety. Okay, and in that instance, he would then play into the curl. Okay, but in this situation, he would have 3 vertical, right? And this is where you get into the instance to where you want to make sure that your defense is sound in structure, where an instance where we have someone running free up the field for an easy touchdown, that's where you know your defense isn't sound, right? And this is where the backside safety comes into play. He's playing a cut 1 or poach 3 when you play quarters against 3x0 sets. What do I mean by cut 1? I put cut 1 first because that's the first in his decision making. If 1 on this side goes underneath, then he's going to cut that route and play that man-to-man. That's how they have it coded. All right. But if 1 doesn't, then I'm poaching over for the vertical of 3. So in an instance like this, I got him, reroute, curl, and the 3 rec, he wants to be in the window, so you can't just rip a free inside throw to this route, right? And then he delivers him to a defender who's supposed to poach over the 3. There's a reason why I said a defender and not the backside safety, right? Yes, in this particular instance, this backside safety would take the vertical of number 3, but in a route combination like this, right? This is where we get into making sure the defense is sound. 2, what about now? Right? Because remember, he's cutting 1. That's the first in this process. Okay, 1 is going underneath now, so I take him. Well, now we have a problem, right? Well, no. The way they have it coded in Madden, obviously you want to take away that inside throw, and then he's going to, play in the middle. This guy's playing match 1 out and up. That's his first in his response, right? And if 1 doesn't go out and up, the 1 here, then he poaches 3, right? So we can look at this. Is 1 going out and up? No, he's going inside underneath. So we have someone for that. We have the backside safety cutting that. Okay, so I'm poaching 3. So yes, you can run it. You will see if you run a combination like this, he will go like this, and this guy will climb all the way over to take the vertical of number 3. Now, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know the weakness in that. That, to me, I don't like that at all, right? This guy has to travel so much distance to get to 3 on a deep route. That's just not, but that's the way they have this one coded, okay? You're kind of hoping. So if a team is running 3 verts on this side, you wouldn't want to call this. If they have this guy running on underneath, right? Because then now you put this guy in a lot of stress here, right? But so where would this be good? Okay, so we can get into kind of strength. Oh, also we're gonna I'll put Q for run fits, right? Q, run fit, run fit, run fit. I believe he has a run fit as well, right? So that's one of the benefits of quarters defense. Okay. Now, where would this be good? Well, if your opponent was running a lot of stuff with a 1 and a 2, right? Again, we have a 3-on-2 deal over here. That's one way I would like this. Okay. Maybe the video would be too long if I were to do that. And then also we have this Meg 2 where he's matching the 2, right? So everyone's really accounted for with this defense. Now, obviously, it has strengths and weaknesses, right? Where would you attack this? How could you attack this? There's a number of ways where you can do it. One problem with this, I'll get into this now, is RPOs. 100%, right? Because back to the cue, right? We all have run fits. If we run the ball, well, we have a particular gap we are responsible for, right? But then we have an RPO. So we snap the ball, it looks like it's about to hand off, we move in, and then we throw out to 3. This guy would easily get blocked here, right? We can even do something weird where we send this guy out. I don't think they have something like this, and then you just go and block him. Maybe that wouldn't be too good, because then one would be able to take that. But primarily they have this guy going out, right? And this is a problem against quarters. And this is where, theoretically, we can get into the next one. Hopefully I don't have this screen on there for a little bit too long. Let me move over. There we go. And this is where we get into palms, okay? So in palms, the circle changes. So remember in quarters, it was here. And now it changes. It's here, right? So let's go over this. Mag 1, what does this mean? That means he's man everywhere he goes on 1. It doesn't matter what he runs. He can run a drag. You're running with him. You're man-to-man with him everywhere he goes. And the whole point of this coverage is we X out the 1. Okay, you are accounted for no matter what. So now we can build our bracket type stuff to receivers inside. Okay, we'll go over why you may decide to do this as opposed to playing quarters against this formation. He's reading 3-2. This is where it gets a little weird. 3-2 read. And the safety's reading 3-2. They both are keying on this receiver. He dictates how they're going to play post snap. If 3 runs a vertical route, then okay, I don't have 3. Now I'm taking the vertical of 2. Right? So in this instance, it'll go like that. The safety is reading 3-2 as well. If 3 goes vertical, all right, then I take him man-to-man. All right? Where it changes is where 3 goes out. 3 goes to the flat, or he goes out. I'm reading 3-2. 3 is out. Okay, now he's my man, and he takes that route. He traps that route. You're looking to be very aggressive on that. The safety who's reading 3-2. Is 3 out? Yes. Well, then he's not mine because I know the corner has him, and now I'm looking at 2, taking the vertical of 2. Right? So in an instance like this, it should turn out like that. Right? 3 rec. He wants to play inside of the 3 to make sure they can't rip a quick throw into him, and then the rest is self-explanatory. This guy's a Meg 2. Okay, so he mans up the number 2 if he goes on a route to this side. So what I've noticed with palms, where it changes, is this right here. So this guy will cut 1 or zone to quarter. So this is first in the process. If 1 goes underneath, then he's playing that same cut technique. And it's actually worse than quarters because it takes a while for him to register to, oh, hey, I have to cut the tight end, which is not very good, right? Or he will zone the quarter. So if 1 goes like this, then he's just going to zone out and zone to his quarter. All right. The corner is matching 1 except if he goes under, right? If he goes under, he's not going to match 1 because obviously the safety will take him. However, if he runs like a corner route, well, then he's matching the route. Runs up, matching the route, right? He's just matching them. So that's it with palms. Now, in the previous shot about quarters, I noted how, and this is where you can, I don't want to have this to be a complaint video, guys. This is where you run like, you run RPOs. You guys have heard me said it over and over again. You run RPOs to attack like quarters coverage, the way that's coded in Madden, right? Okay. Well, a way to defend against quarters, I mean against RPOs like that, is to run palms, right? You're going to hand this ball off, but you're going to run an RPO with it, right? So we fake the handoff and then we throw the 3. Well, I'm reading 3-2. When I see 3 going out, then I jump that route. Here's another problem with Madden. So this is what they call stubby in Nick Saban's vernacular, okay? So now, you know, some people may get a little bit kind of feel kind of cluttered with all of the different terms in football, but maybe you'll see it's not as bad as you think it is if you can kind of condense everything down. When you hear palms and then you hear stubby and then you hear this and you hear that, you're like, that's a lot to learn. Not when you find out, oh, palms and stubby is the same thing, right? They just have different terms for the same type of concept, right? There's like so many different coaching trees. They have this same concepts, but they have different names for it, right? But anyways, in stubby, the way where Madden has it wrong, okay, from what I've seen, he is supposed to play with outside leverage on the number 2. Okay, 100% in stubby. Okay? And when you think about it, if I'm aligned here, and we're playing a 3-2 read, okay, and 3 goes out, well, now I can fire off, and it's harder kind of to seal me off. And if he does get the ball, we got inside help, right? I'm kind of sealed off on the outside. And if he misses this, then we can make a big play, a big tackle, hopefully an interception. But with me aligned like this, okay, and we run the RPO. All right, I'm going to fire and get this guy. Oh, no, I'm just going to block you, right? I have the angle on you. It's why it just doesn't make any sense. So in Madden, I remember I played against a guy. He was running this set. This was maybe 2 years ago. He was running this RPO against my quarters. I'm like, well, what do I do to you know? And I was like, hey, why don't I run palms? He's reading 3-2. He should jump that, right? And I ran it, and it didn't work, right? And it didn't matter if I took this guy and aligned him outside. You can run it all you want. He'll never attack the way he should. So I just want you guys to know that. In theory, this is why you would run something like this, because you want to be better fitted for RPOs. Also, from what I've seen, guys like Saban and stuff, they like to run stubby or palms, as we say here, when 2 and 3 are like closer together, right? Because in instances like this is where you get like a lot of switch routes. So I guess we're getting in the strengths of palms, right? If we were to get something where he's going in and he's going out, if we were man to man, you know, we can get like potential rub-offs and have problems with that. This is where stubby is pretty good because, again, he would be outside leverage. If we get something like this, well, I'm taking 3 out. I have that out leveraged, right? So just an example with stubby, okay? Did I go over everything here? Yeah, I did. So now we can move on to, let's go to, yeah, I guess I got to shorten these little clips here. So when I press play, it takes a while to get to the next little shot. We'll get into cover 6. And I was in shock when I checked the coding of cover 6. To me, this is a coverage I've been playing around with against Trey sets now because of what they have going on here. So this is easy to remember because the bubble is really here. Okay, we still have that same 3-2 read deal, right? So they're still playing stubby on this side of the field, right? And he's still Meg. So nothing really changes. Where it changes is on the backside over here. And they play it a lot better. This guy here is going to play vert hook, okay? And he's going to play the cloud corner. But what's most interesting about this is, yes, he's a deep half safety, but he actually matches a vertical route by number 1. If one runs a deep curl, he matches it. If he runs a deep post, he matches it, right? He's not just drifting off into space. I was amazed when I saw this. Because whenever you have a deep half safety, from what I've seen, he just goes off into space. I think one of you guys even alluded to this in a previous video. I just never had a chance to go and take a look at it. I think one of you guys said that, hey, when you play cover 6, the deep half safety actually matches some routes. He doesn't just drift off into space. So it's my fault on that, not to check that out. But when I looked at it here against Trey, I noticed that he actually matches routes, okay? So it's not a lot to go over cover 6 because we already know how palms really plays with these guys here. Oh, also a change. Because I'm a deep half safety, I'm not cutting 1 anymore. So if 1 goes underneath, well, now the 3 rec cuts him off. And to me, that's way of a better fit to cut 1 as opposed to being the safety or the corner. He will cut the 1 on that instance, right? And then we have our defenders here. Obviously, we don't have anyone megging the 2 because if he goes to the flat, well, we do have a cloud out there, right? So in this defense, we free up the vert hook. You can do a lot of different things with this guy. I've done a lot of different things where I try to include him into a 5-man pressure. I've been trying to figure out ways to bring him free on a pressure and etc. because I know where my free player is. Why don't we go back to quarters really quickly, and then we'll go to cover 9. So where's your free player in this? And what I mean by free player is it's got to be a player who isn't like the top end of the coverage, right? So you could never take this player, bring him down and blitz him, right? Because now the integrity of the defense is compromised. We could run 3 verts and he's just wide open. No one's covering him, right? But if we were to blitz this guy, yeah, that inside throw would be available, but you know, if they were to throw to him, we would still have someone topping that route, right? So you have a little bit more free reign with someone like the 3 rec here. Okay, so that's what I mean. So if you wanted to incorporate a blitzing scheme, etc., you know, who would be the prime candidate in the defense? Well, you got to know what everyone's responsible for, so you know where you have some free play. So like in Palms, who would it be here? You really don't have a lot of options here. Maybe the corner. Sorry if I'm taking a while, I'm thinking. So if he goes inside, he would cut him, and then he megs it too, so he would be free, right? If one goes deep, no, you can't. No, you can't, right? So if he goes on a corner, he's not going to match it. He's zoned into the quarter, and he's just going to be open. You're supposed to match that. So yeah, you're just not given a lot of freeway with Palms to do different things with the coverage to bring an extra defender. I'm always thinking about where can I utilize a free player in a defense if I want to create pressures and stuff like that. Now, quickly, I'll go over what I used to do with Palms, and I still do it if I play Palms, is I use this player because I know the rules. And I line them here over the 3, okay? And what I do is, at the snap of the ball, I try to reroute this receiver and jam him to help out my safety who's in a 3-2 read. So if he goes vertical, it helps out my safety to defend that. While I'm jamming him, I'm eyeing the number 1. Because if he comes inside, what am I supposed to do? Cut the 1. Well, wouldn't I be in better position here to cut the 1 as opposed to being way up here, right? So that's 2 birds with 1 stone. We help out our safety and we cut the number 1. But the third bird in the stone killing, I guess you can say, is we further discourage a run to this side. Where are they more likely to run? This way or this way? Definitely this way, right? Well, easily get an inside zone going, right? And run this way. Well, not if I'm aligned here. Now we have an extra defender to help out in the run this way. So I used to run Palms all the time last year and the year before in Madden. I stopped doing it because this year, for whatever reason, I found it harder to reroute this guy. And it just defeats the purpose of what I'm doing, because with me aligned here, your opponent sees that, and now they want to get this 3 on the deep post, and he's one-on-one with the safety if you don't reroute him, right? So this guy just gets cooked every single time, and this is usually the best receiver, right? So enough about that. Let's move on. Let's get into, I hope I have it in here, cover 9. There it is, cover 9. So cover 9 is vastly different. Okay, this guy, he matches 1 trail unless any under. What I mean by that is, if 1, 2, and 3 go vertical, then he's going to play underneath trail on this guy. And he has help over the top with the deep half safety. He's just primarily deep half safety, okay? If 1 goes vertical and this guy goes to the flat, well, then he's going to take the flat. Right? Let's move on to this guy. He matches 2 unless there's any unders, right? So again, in the instance to where these guys are going vertical, then he's going to match this route. He's going to match this route. And obviously we would have someone for the vertical of 3. I believe it's him. Yeah, vert 3. Okay? But in an instance to where we get something like this, well, then he's not going to match that because we have an under from the 1, 2, or 3. So then he will just play his regular vert hook responsibility. Okay? So, moving on to this guy, he's a 3 receiver hook player, and he cuts the 1. I think I had this wrong. He doesn't cut the one. He just 3 receiver hook because the safety cuts the one. I forgot to X that out. Okay. I may have something a little mixed up here, but we'll just X that guy out there. Okay, so he's just a 3 receiver hook. You guys know what he does. He matches the 2. Okay, and he mags 1 unless 1 is under, in this instance, like here, right? And obviously the safety would take that route, and then he collects 3. So we have the same problem that we had earlier with quarters, right? To where in an instance to where we have this route design, well, now I'm cutting the 1, and now I have to come all the way over and collect the vertical of number 3. So in that instance, it would be very important for you to take away this inside throw and make this guy kind of ride the hump to elongate his path to the deep middle of the field, so that, you know, we have enough time for our corner to kind of climb over. Okay. So I think I'll leave it at that, guys. So, I mean, looking at this defense here, where would be a player where you could utilize as a free player to do different things with? Really nobody, right? Not a single person in this defense I would want to utilize to do that. If you use this guy on like a blitz, that inside throw is just available right away. And then especially if we have something like this going on, where I have to climb over, I mean, he's just wide open for a touchdown there, right? So, you know, obviously you can't use him because he has to match 2, okay? But, you know, this would be a defense you would call with the sole purpose of, you know, you don't want to bring a blitz. You're really just playing coverage, and you want to play something to take away what they're trying to do. Now, obviously there's strengths and weaknesses to this, but I don't want to make this to be too long. This video is really just to show you how quarters, palms, cover 6, and cover 9 plays a formation like this. I'll leave it at that. I hope you guys got something out of this video, and I hope you keep coming back for more. Peace.